Hey, wrestling fans, it's Dave. You may be saying to yourself, what the hell does Dave know about wrestling? And you'll probably think, look at that guy. He probably doesn't know squat about wrestling. But I've been part of wrestling almost my whole life. Um, Wrestled a little bit in junior high. We didn't really have programs like they do now, which sucks. Um, as a freshman in high school at Deerfield in Illinois, I weighed 74 pounds. Think about that. I didn't break 100 pounds until junior year, and in the middle of junior year. I was varsity junior and senior year. I was a 98 pounder. Yeah, back when they had 98 pounds. Now, senior year, I weighed about 114 pounds, so I did cut a lot of weight, but made it every time. Came close a couple times to not making it, but I made it every time. After that, somehow Northern Arizona offered me a wrestling scholarship. I was a good wrestler in high school, but I didn't even make it out of regionals. I had a good regional. I had two guys who made it downstate, and only two guys made it from regionals to sectionals, and so on and so forth. But so Northern Arizona offered me a wrestling scholarship, so I was a lumberjack, and I don't care. Anybody who's watched Monty Python, I believe it's Monty Python, knows that. Wrestled there for a year. College was not my thing. After came home, my brother was a freshman when I came home at Deerfield. He was going to be a gymnast, and he was a damn good gymnast, but Deerfield got rid of their gymnastics program, so my brother Todd wrestled and never wrestled anything but varsity. Started out as a 98 pounder, 105, 112, 119. Made it downstate his last 3 years. Got screwed his freshman year. He's wrestling the number 1 seed. He's the number 4 seed. Losing 2-0, and my brother could cradle anybody. Still can, probably. Cradles the number 1 seed. The referee's not counting, and we asked the referee, why weren't you counting? Well, he was the number 1 seed. Now, that is hard to believe, that story, but so that's what happened. In Illinois, it's regionals, sectionals, and then state. My brother was 10-0 at sectionals, so, it's pretty impressive. And his first 2 years, he ran into the state champion like in his first match. Then senior year, he ended up taking 4th in state. His only 3 losses were to 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in state. So he got a scholarship to wrestle at ISU. After that, I refereed for 20 years, including my buddy Mike Poeta's favorite story about my double pin, which was the last double pin, I think, in high school history, because they told the referees after that, if it's a double pin, you give it to the offensive wrestler. So, Mike, shout out to you, head coach at University of Illinois, my son's club coach. My son wrestled. He was a good wrestler. He made it downstate in junior high twice. Senior year, he was poised for a pretty big year, and he hurt his knee the first weekend of the year, and he just never came back. But he was a good wrestler. I'm proud of him. Got some good videos of him. So, I decided to do an NCAA update, my predictions for the tournament. Took a little bit of time to do it, and it's the night before, and it's my favorite 3 days of the year, sports-wise. I just love it. It's a great tournament. It's fantastic. So, it's going to be a great tournament. I'm a Big Ten guy. I watched a lot of meets this year, mostly Big Ten, but my son's at Missouri, so I watched a lot of meets. A lot of meets. I mean, if it's 2 good teams, I watch them. So I know a lot about a lot of the guys, but there are certain guys I don't know about, and I'll let you know who I know about and who I don't know about. So there, put that in your smoking pipe. Anywho, here we go. We're going to start out with the craziest weight class of the year. There's been like 10 number 1s throughout the year. So it's going to be a wild tournament, and anybody. I mean, there's probably 15 guys that could win 125. So I'm going to start out with what I think are my first round matches that I'm looking forward to, my projected second round matches I'm looking forward to, and so on. So in the first round at 125, Smith from Nebraska against DeAugustine from Michigan, and I'm wearing my Ohio State sweatshirt, so I cannot pronounce the M in Michigan. Caleb from Arizona State against Noto from Lock Haven. That should be a pretty good match. Unger from Cornell, Peterson from Rutgers, Peterson had a huge Big Ten tournament. He's wrestling really well. In the second round, Davis, the number one seed from Penn State, is going to be going up against Peterson. I believe Davis is going to win that match. Volk from Wyoming against Noto, again from Lockhaven. Flynn from Virginia Tech against Spratley. Spratley is a pretty impressive kid. Camacho from North Carolina State, and Barnett from Wisconsin. You just can never write the guy off. So the other thing I wanted to do is, since I'm from Illinois, I wanted to mention the Illinois wrestlers. And so at 125, and if I miss anybody, I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can. Diego Sotelo from Harvard. A funny story. When my son was a sophomore, he was at Stevenson at the time. We ended up moving, and he ended up at Round Lake his last 2 years, where he went varsity. The two guys in the finals of the Barrington tournament were Diego Sotelo and Luke Hamidi, which is crazy because Sotelo's still at 125 and Hamidi's up at 165, and he looks like a 74-pounder. Sorry, I'm watching the Bears. Steelers 2021 Monday Night Football. I believe the Bears come back and we win this game, which is so exciting. Anyways, Noah Certain. Saw Noah win a couple of state championships. He's at Mizzou. Ramos from Purdue. Saw him win a state championship. He's a hell of a wrestler from Lockport. So what I'm going to do next is go to what I believe are going to be the quarterfinal matches, and then who I think is going to win those matches. Davis from Penn State against McKee from Minnesota. They've wrestled in the finals of the Big Tens. I think Davis is going to take him, but boy, it's going to be a tough match. McKee, you can never count McKee out. You got Noto from Lockhaven. I've got against Ramos from Purdue, and I got Ramos winning that one. Ayala from Iowa against Spratley from Oklahoma State. I got Ayala winning that one. And then Barnett from Wisconsin up against Stanich from, I believe, Lehigh. And I've got Barnett winning that. Barnett is just, he's lost some matches he probably should, but that guy's dangerous. He's scary. And then in the semifinals, one other thing I wanted to mention, other guys that could, make it into these rounds, because there's a lot of guys that can, but Richie Figueroa, Volk from Wyoming, Camacho from North Carolina State. At the beginning of the year, I would have said Noah Certain, but he's got that weird thing on his neck. He's obviously hurt. And I do have a long shot to get, on the podium, and that's DiAugustino. That guy's just, first of all, the best beard in wrestling for sure, and maybe in sports. He's up there. Anyways, to the semifinals, I got Davis and Ramos. I got Ramos winning that match. Be a tough one, though. I mean, they've gone back and forth, and Ramos has not wrestled well as of late. But this is the big stage, and we know what he did last year on the big stage when he wrestled Spencer. So, and then in my other semi, I've got Ayala against Barnett, and I've got Barnett coming out on top. So we got Ramos and Barnett, and I've got Ramos winning the match. This one's going to be probably the toughest one to pick. So, as far as my, All-Americans, I've got Noto in 8th, Stanich 7th, Spratley, McKee, Ayala in 4th, Davis in 3rd, Barnett in 2nd, and Ramos winning the 125 national championship. Let's move on to 133. 133. So in the first round, we've got Brown against Bouzakas. It's a Big Ten rematch. Bouzakas had a rough Big Ten. Went up against Teskey in the first round, and Teskey, because of some type of technicality, was a 14 seed. And then Bouzakas just didn't wrestle well. I think he was an at-large bid to make the tournament. He didn't even finish in like the top 9 or whatever it was that was the at-large. So I think Bouzakas is going to win that match, and he could end up on the stand, but boy, he's going to have a long ways to go. The other match is Dylan Ragusin against Koliako from Penn. Koliako's a high seed, and he's a pretty good possible long shot, but there's a reason he's a 28 seed. But I've seen him before. He's pretty tough. In the second round, some pretty good matches. Ragusin-Latona. Latona is a seasoned veteran. He's been around a long time. I think Dylan comes out on top. and really one of the best second round matches of the tournament. It's going to be Nagao from Penn State against Bailey from Little Rock. I saw Bailey in high school, and God, he is a beast. He is fast. He is strong. That's going to be a crazy match. I mean, that's going to be such a great match. I'm so excited about that one. And another great one at 133 is going to be Orion against Van D. Van D, I believe, is a freshman from Nebraska. He has just had a great year. He's beaten some good kids. So it should be a pretty good match. And then another one to watch is Teskey and Crookham. Crookham's undefeated and beaten Vito twice. He's a hell of a story because I believe in the beginning of the season he wasn't even the number one guy. And now he's the number 2 seed in the Big Tens, which is nuts. But you can never count Teskey out. You just can't. The Illinois guys, Ragusin, saw him wrestle my buddy Dane Durlacher a bunch of times, and Dylan was just so tough. He's just a tough kid. Zacconi from Campbell, he's a strong kid, good wrestler. Don't know that he can do much this tournament, but you know he's tough. And then of course Bailey from Little Rock. I'm just gonna talk about guys that could make the stand that aren't in my quarterfinals. Van D from Nebraska and Bailey from Little Rock. That Bailey Nagao match, whoever wins that one, they're gonna be tough for anybody who wrestles them. And my long shot is Teskey. You just can never count that kid out. He's been there before numerous times and just finds a way to win sometimes some big matches. So in the quarters, I've got Fix against Frost, which is, I believe, a rematch of their finals of the Big 12, and I think Dayton's going to win that one. Ragusin Shaver, which is a rematch of the Big 10, and it's my first rye. Old Forester, here's to you, cheers. Shaver put a good throw on Dylan on the edge of the mat. I think Dylan's going to wrestle a little smarter this time. I think Dylan's going to come out on top. Another really good match is Orion against Arujau, and I think Arujau's going to win that match. So it's going to be, it's the quarterfinals are going to be crazy. Then Nagao and Crookham. I've got Nagao beating Bailey, and I've got Nagao beating Crookham. Nagao is just, he's tough. He gets those legs in on you, and he is nasty. He's just nasty with them. And being at Penn State has to be really good for him. Any time you're at Penn State, I believe they got the best coaches in the world. So, semifinals, Fix Ragusin. I got Fix winning. Arujau Nagao, I've got Arujau winning. And then Fix and Arujau. And I think Dayton finally gets it. I think he's going to finally get it. He's wrestling really well. I think he's wrestling a little, not as haphazard, but I think his offense looks really good. And Vito just doesn't look like he's completely there. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be another great weight class. So from my finishers, All-Americans from 8 to 1, Frost in 8th, Orion, Shaver, Crookham, Nagao, Ragusin, Arujau, Fix. That's going to be a fun weight class. I mean, they're all going to be fun in their own little ways, but there are some that are a little more fun than others. 141. So it's not the strongest weight class. I mean, there's some great wrestlers, don't get me wrong. First round, the only match that I'm really looking forward to is Edmund and Henson. I watched Edmund a bunch this year. Again, my kid's at Mizzou, so I watch a lot of Mizzou matches, and Edmund's always in a match. He's tough. He's going to be tough. Another one of the best second round matches, and one of the better matches you'll see in the tournament is going to be the third time Hardy Lemley. Both times, lots of points scored, tight matches, takedowns at the end. I mean, just two really good, talented, go-at-it kids, man. Just going to be a great match. It's going to be, another fantastic second round match. Ekamendi against the winner of Edmund and Henson. Ekamendi is going to win that match, I think. Matthews and Bartlett, you can never count Cole out. He's not had the best year. He lost to my buddy Danny Pacino. Love Danny. Shout out to you, Danny. Danny was at Poeta with my son, and just a great kid at U of I with Poeta. But Bart was going to come out on top on that one. Another Illinois kid, Josh Coderhant, against McNeil from North Carolina is going to be a good match. And then Happel and Jameson is going to be a really good match. That's a 7 and a 10, I believe. The Illinois kids, you've got a bunch. You got my buddy Danny Pacino, Sergio Lemley, Ramos. No, that's the last meet. Ramos is obviously not in this one. Never mind. I'm looking at a spreadsheet, and I didn't obviously do a great job with that. Real Woods, and of course Coderhant. So at 141, there are some really great kids here. I mean, it's going to be, the quarterfinals are going to be amazing. I don't know if there's that much depth after these guys, but shoot, these guys are all great. They all made it to this tournament. Some guys that could make the stand: Edmund, McNeil, Happel. My long shot is Cole Matthews because you can never count him out. My buddy Danny Pacino beat him this year. That was a great match. God, I loved watching that match. So my quarters, I've got Mendez and the winner of Hardy Lemley, and I think Hardy's going to come out, but God, it could be Lemley. But either way, I think Mendez is going to win that one. Jesse's just tough. Ecamendia and Jack, that's going to be a tough match. I think Ecamendia is going to come out of that one. He's wrestling really well. They both are. Real Woods and Coderhant. Coderhant, if you I don't know how he's a 141 pounder. That guy is a monster. But I see Real Woods winning that match. And then Jameson from Oklahoma State and Bartlett. And Bo Bartlett is just so smart and just knows how to win these matches. So in the semis, you've got Mendez and Ecamendia, and I got Jesse winning that match. Woods and Bartlett. Bartlett's kind of owned him a little bit this year, so I got Bo winning that match. And in the finals, it's a rematch. They've split this season, Mendez and Bartlett, and I got Bo winning it. They're just something about Penn State just knows how to win these matches, but boy, that can go either way. I mean, it has. Both guys are just so good, and it's going to be so much fun to watch. So from 8 to 1, 8th, I got Jameson, then Jack, Ecamendia, Lemley, Hardy in 4th, Woods in 3rd, and then Mendez and Bartlett. To 149, and again, this one I really don't think there's as much depth in this, but some really great matches and some fun kids to watch. I don't have any first round matches that I'm like, oh my god, I gotta watch that. Anytime Gomez is wrestling, it's always fun because you just don't know what he's gonna do. He can throw himself to his back. He's a wild man. I watched Austin wrestle in high school and all 20 years in college. I believe he's going to be an ARP next year. Just kidding, Austin. The kid's just a dynamite. He made the Olympic team. Just fun kid to watch. In the second round, I got Kinner from Ryder and Gomez. Gomez is going to come out on top. And then Kasak and Lamer from Cal Poly. Should be a pretty good match. Your Illinois guys, Tyus, who's at Southern Illinois, and of course Austin Gomez. Other guys that could make the podium. Rathje from Iowa, and Labor from Cal Poly. And my long shots, I got two. McDougal and Abbas, they're both been around a long time, and they're both really solid wrestlers. They both didn't have the type of years that they usually do, but it's the NCAA championships, We'll see what happens. It's gonna be fun. So in my quarters, I've got Lovett and Swiderski, and a funny story about Swiderski. Not funny, actually. At sophomore year, my son wrestled at preseason nationals at Northern Iowa, and they wrestled on the football field. And if my son had won his first match, he would have had Swiderski, and it's bad enough my son got his ass kicked by the first kid. But Swiderski, good God, what he would have done to my poor little boy. Then I've two guys I really haven't watched much this year, so I really don't know, but Waters from West Virginia and Henson from Virginia Tech. Then in the other, so I've got Lovett beating Swiderski. I've got Henson beating Waters. Then we've got Arrington against Gomez. I've got Gomez winning that match. Arrington's number 3 seed. Obviously had a great year, but I haven't seen a lot of NC State. Uh, then I've got Kasek and Parko. And Parko, boy, he just did a great job against Lovett. And I don't think Lovett wrestled his kind of a match that he would normally wrestle. So Parko's tough. They're all tough, obviously. In the semifinals, Lovett and Henson. I've got Ridge winning. I love watching Ridge wrestle. He just goes for it most of the time, and when he does, he's just tough to beat. And then Gomez and Parko's gonna be a fun match. I've got Austin winning that match, and then for the third time this year, Lovett and Gomez, and I got Austin. I'm losing to Lovett this year. Be nice if Austin could somehow pull it off, but I think Ridge has his number, but we'll see. So from 8-1 in 8th place, Swiderski, Kasek, Waters, Arrington, Henson, Parko, Gomez, and Lovett. All right, we're halfway there. Almost. Living on a prayer. Almost. It's the rye talking. So 157, which I think is the deepest weight class in the whole tournament, it's going to be crazy. I mean, there's so many different scenarios and so many different guys can end up on the podium and so many rematches and good God, it's going to be crazy. So my first round matchups, and I got a bunch. Mahler from Missouri and Travis from Oklahoma State. I believe they've wrestled at maybe the Big 12s. And I believe Travis won. Mahler just hasn't been himself. I believe he's been an All-American and started out okay, but seems to have tailed off. So that's going to be a really, really interesting match. Will Overtime Luan against Chase Aldate. I saw Will win a state championship as a junior, and then he lost his senior year to a kid from Barrington whose name escapes him. Oh, Marcus Hartman. And it was a tight match, and Marcus just was so good with his legs and got his legs in at the last couple of seconds and rode him out, and it was a good match. I think Will is such a skilled guy, and I wish he would just throw a little more caution to the wind, but he wrestles the way he wrestles, and he's been an All-American, and he's a tough out, and he just believes that he can win every overtime match, and almost every match is an overtime match. It's crazy. Chumbley and Rob, I believe Rob's going to win that, but Trevor's tough. They've met probably a couple of times. Blaze and Franek, another Big Ten matchup. It's 3 Big Ten matchups there. I like the way Franek's been wrestling lately. And then the other one is Swenson from South Dakota and Vinny Zerbin, who at one point, I believe Vinny was number 2 in the nation. Then he lost in the first round of his conference tournament. And now he's like an 18. So, those should be some really good matches. I mean, second round matches, there's some fantastic second round matches. Luan and Rob, if that's going to be a good match. They've wrestled a couple of times, and either one can come out of that one. I just think that Will somehow is going to pull it out. Downey from Northern Iowa and Bryce Andonian, who's one of my favorite guys to watch because he's just so funky, and I know he was injured, and I just don't think he's completely back. I hope he is because he's so much fun to watch. Michael Blockus and Scott, and I think Blockus is going to win this match. Blockus has been around the Blockus. He's tough. He's good. He had a great year. I believe that he felt that the Big Tens was going to be tough to win, and he didn't want to get himself, beat up. So I don't believe he really. I think he took an injury default in one match. I don't think he really just. It wasn't as important to him as the national tournament. So I think he's going to turn it on. He's had a really good year. He's beaten some good guys. Shapiro, who's one of my favorite guys. First of all, he's Jewish, so that's fun. And then Chittum from Iowa State. That should be a really good match. Brayton Lee and Cardenas from Stanford is going to be a good one. Zerbin and Teamer is going to be a good one. I mean, there's some really great second-round matches at 157. 157 is going to be fun to watch. My Illinois guys, Will Luan, Trevor Chumley, and I know Zerbin was in Missouri a lot, but I know he spent at least 1 year in Illinois. Uh, maybe even been at the same school that the 125 pounder certain went to Edwardsville, but I'm not really 100% sure. Um, so many guys can. I mean, this is like I said. To me, this outside of 125, there's a lot of guys that could be on the stand. Peyton Robb, Andoni, and Ed Scott, Cardenas, Zerbin, uh, any one of those guys. And my long shot is Joey Blaze. Joey Blaze is dangerous. Watch out for Joey Blaze. I mean, he's tough. He's his brother Marcus beat Ramos in a preseason tournament. His brother's a high school kid. So obviously the family knows how to wrestle. My quarterfinals, I've got Levi Haynes, who I believe is another Jewish kid, which welcome to the member of the tribe, against Will Dewan, and I think they went overtime one time, but I think Levi wins this one. Downey and Blockus, and I think Blockus pulls it off. He's just wrestled so good this year. Shapiro and Lee. Shapiro's gonna win that match. And then I've got Franek and Teamer. I got Franek upsetting Teamer, he's strong, he's fast. I just think he's too damn defensive, and Franek can wrestle a defensive match, and I just like the way Franek has been on his feet the last couple of weeks. So my semis, I got Haynes and Blockus, and I got Haynes winning that one. I got Shapiro, and Franek, and I got Shapiro winning, and so it's going to be a great final. I mean, two guys that young guys, really good. But I got Levi winning this year after taking second last year. So it's going to be a fun weight class. 157. It's going to be nuts. So from 8th to 1st, I've got Scott, Downey, Robb, Teamer, Blockus, Franek, Shapiro, and Haynes. Can't wait for that one. 165, there's, God, so many good guys in this one, too. Just so many talented guys. Going to be another great weight class. In the first round, only because I've watched this kid since he was in junior high, Holden Heller against Taylor from Nebraska. Holden is just funky, has no problem sitting on his butt and hooking an ankle. I mean, just does some wild things, but he gets him and his brother Reese get themselves in trouble a lot, but they went to the same junior high that I went to, that my dad was a principal at. So they didn't spend that much time at Deerfield. Especially Holden moved around. In fact, Holden was at, I believe, Montini, and he was supposed to be the 6-pounder, and then they brought in this real Woods guy. So Holden, who weighed about 96 pounds, had to wrestle 113, but he made it downstate. So, and then he ended up somewhere else. He came back to Deerfield and he ended up somewhere else. So they moved around a bit, but nice guys. I had dinner with Sage at the Deerfield alumni night. It's great to see Sage and a bunch of other Deerfield greats, including my brother. But anyways, Heller and Taylor, just going to be a wild match. Taylor, I think, is going to come out on top, but I hope Holden can pull it off. My second round matches, I've got Peyton Hall from West Virginia and Taylor. That'll be a really good match. It's a 9 and an 8. Olenek and Amin. Amin, like Luan, it must be an Michigan thing, to where they just love wrestling in overtime. If you watch Amin, he just turns it on in overtime, and he's not an easy out. So that's going to be another really good match. My Illinois guys, obviously Holden Heller, Hamidi, Moore from Illinois. Saw him win. He he was at, I think, maybe Aurora Christian, and then he transferred to McHenry, and his partner there was my son's first wrestling partner, ever, Brody Hallen. Was a hell of a wrestler. And then Mikey Calando, who I saw win a state championship. In fact, I think he was, I can't remember if it was Bartlett or Batavia, but he was their first state champion, which is pretty impressive. A lot of guys can, make the stand. Taylor from Nebraska, Olenek from Oklahoma State. He is a returning All-American. My long shot is Fish from Michigan State. He had a god-awful a god awful Big Ten. I don't know what happened, because he's usually just one of those guys that doesn't quit and just keeps coming at you, but um, you can't rest on fish. You just can't. That's a hard name for a wrestler to have, but yeah, whatever. So my quarters, I've got Keegan O'Toole and Peyton Hall. I've got Keegan winning that. Hamidi and Carr, that's going to be a really good match, but I just don't know that Dean, has enough to beat Carr. And I think I called Dean Luke earlier, but it's Dean. I know it's Dean. I think he's got brother Luke. How's that? Ramirez from Cornell and Caliendo. I got Caliendo winning that one. Ramirez is one of those real defensive guys. I think Mikey's got enough offense to take him out. And then Amin and Messenbrink, and I don't. It's a bad matchup, I think, for Amin, because Messenbrink just keeps coming, and Amin wants to play defense, and you can't play defense against Messenbrink. That kid is just too dangerous. Amazing semifinal, O'Toole and Carr. What can you say? I wish that they didn't had a chance to meet in the finals, but I think Keegan's going to win this. I think Keegan knows how to wrestle him now. Carr seemed to force it the last time they wrestled, but hey, we'll see. That's why they wrestle the matches. Caliendo Messenbrink. Messenbrink has pretty much done a number on Caliendo throughout the year, so I see Messenbrink winning that one. And O'Toole and Messenbrink, I guess Messenbrink's dad is O'Toole's coach, and those two train with each other, and, Keegan, when he first started wrestling, he's still got a great cradle, but, he was just a cradler, and he wasn't that great on his feet, but he is a complete wrestler now. He's good at every position. He's so much fun to watch. And Messenbrink, I love a guy that shoots, that isn't afraid to shoot, that isn't afraid to fall behind and come back. I just think Keegan has too much for O'Toole, but, boy, that'll be fun. So from 8 to 1, Amin, Olenek, Hall, Caliendo, Hamidi, Carr, Messenbrink, and O'Toole. That's going to be just a fun weight class. And one of the weight classes that everybody's going to be watching because of Carter Starachi. Is he healthy? Who the hell knows? I think Starachi on one leg can beat everybody in this weight class, but we're going to find out. There are certain things, certain injuries that, not even the best of the best can push their way through. I'm hoping he can make it through the whole tournament okay. First round matchups, Mailer from Michigan and Turley from Rutgers. Another Big Ten matchup. Braden Thompson from Oklahoma State, and Kemp, Lee Kemp's boy from Cal Poly. It's going to be a fun match. Thompson, he's beaten some good kids this year. Murphy from Campbell and Mako from Missouri. Mako is an All-American. Didn't have a great year, but watch out. And, of course, the match everyone's going to want to see is Starachi injury defaulted to Sparks, at the Big Tens. And if Starachi's okay, he's going to smoke him. But everybody wants to see and watch and see how Carter's doing. Your second-round matchups, I haven't watched much of these guys. Wolak and Contreras. I saw Contreras a couple times. I think he's going to pull it out against Wolak, Canigliaro, and Kennedy. Kennedy just keeps coming. He doesn't stop. I love watching him wrestle. And, of course, Starachi and Kemp. I think, like I said, I think Starachi could beat everybody on one leg. So our Illinois guys, I know Braden Thompson finished in Oklahoma, but he was at Lockport for most of his early years. And then Alex Kramer, whose brother Aaron is friends with my son. Aaron has slept over at the house. So hope Alex does well. He's a good wrestler. We'll see what happens. A 19 seed. He's got a chance of winning a match or two here and there, but we'll see what happens. My quarterfinals. So poor Makai Lewis has to go up against Starachi, and if Starachi is not too injured, I just don't see Makai beating him, so I got Starachi winning. I got Kennedy and Griffith looked like a pretty bad leg injury. He injury defaulted, which is weird because I know he only injury defaulted once, but he got a much higher seed. But I think Kennedy's going to win this match. I just think that I don't know that Griffith is healthy enough, but we'll see. Ed Ruth and Welsh. It's going to be boy, can go back and forth. Ruth sometimes just plays it too close to the vest, and he tries to go overtime all the time too. I've got Ruth winning, but boy, that's a tight match. And then in Contreras and DeVos, and I've seen DeVos wrestle a couple times. He's tough. He's a good wrestler. So I've got DeVos winning that one. The other guys that can make the stand. Obviously, there's more than two, but Wolak from Columbia and Kemp from Cal Poly, and my long shot is Mako, but he'd have to really wrestle well to make the stand. In your semis, you got Starachi and Kennedy, and I just don't see Kennedy coming close. Ruth DeVos, I've got DeVos winning that one. I just don't think Edmund throws enough offense in. I think he's got the offense. I just don't think he throws it in enough, but we'll see. And then Starachi DeVos, I don't see anybody beating Carter. I just don't. If he can make it through the match, he's gonna win and really not be pushed hard. So from 8-1, I've got Kemp and Contreras, Kennedy, Ruth, Welsh, Lewis, DeVos, Starachi. On to 184. In the first round, another Big Ten matchup, Soldano from Rutgers, Bullock from Michigan, Malzewski, I know I butchered his name, from Michigan State, and Fishback from North Carolina State. Malzewski's a wild man. Sometimes he loses matches he shouldn't, and sometimes he wins matches he shouldn't. And it's just a fun match because it's two wild men. Reese Heller, the Heller brother, the younger Heller brother, and Rogatsky from Ohio State, the pinner. Unbelievable how many guys that guy pins. The problem with, again, it's wild because these guys are going to throw a lot of crazy moves. I just see Reese getting himself in a bad spot and getting pinned by Rogatsky, but boy, it's must-see TV. It's just going to be two fun guys who just are, funky, and it'll be really a good watch. So make sure you watch that one. In the second round, Stewart, up-and-coming freshman from Virginia Tech. I've watched him a couple of times. He's tough. Fishback from North Carolina State. That'll be a good match. I got Stewart winning. Rogatsky and Salazar could be a wild match. Rogatsky can pin him. He can pin anybody. But I think Salazar comes out on top. Our Illinois guy is Reese Heller. Fishback's one of the guys that I don't have in the final 8, but he could, he could end up on the stand. And my long shot is Malzewski. If he wrestles tough, he could do it. So in my quarterfinals, Kikison against Berge from South Dakota State. Kikison's tough. He's just been beating people up all year. He's going to be a tough out. I don't think he's going to be an out. Pinto and Munoz from Oregon State. Lenny is good, but he gets a little sloppy sometimes. I see Munoz winning that one. Plot Truex will be a really fun match. Truex always wrestles tough, at the NCAAs, but I got Plot coming out. He's just been a bull. I've got Stuart Salazar, and I got Stuart pulling an upset over Salazar. I like the way Stuart's been wrestling. I like the way he wrestled at his conference tournament. He looked really good. So Kikison Munoz in the semis. I got Kikison winning. I don't see anybody beating Kikison. Plot Stewart. I think Plot's too tough for Stewart, but we'll see. And that Kikison, beat up Plot in the finals of their tournament, and Kikison's going to win this tournament. I think he's going to win it easy. So from 8-1, I got Fishback, Pinto, Salazar, Truex, Stewart, Munoz, Plot, Kikison. If I'm pronouncing anyone's name, sorry. I'll do the best I can. What can I tell you? 197. So you got in the first round Jackson Smith and Garrett Joles, and Garrett Joles is like that ultimate team guy. Went heavyweight last year for the team. They needed him there. Hey, look, it's Caleb Williams, the Bears' new quarterback. And then Giag against Allred, another Big Ten rematch. Should be two pretty good matches to watch. In the second round, Little from Arkansas, Little Rock. What a great story. Out of nowhere, these guys have some really good wrestlers at the tournament. It's going to be fun to watch them against Stephen Buchanan, who's an All-American. I think he's a two-time All-American. We've got Jen Smith against Duprez. Duprez from Binghamton. I guess I heard that he wasn't even sure he was going to wrestle this year, and now he's a 6 seed. Carnitas from Cornell against Elam from Mizzou. Should be a fun match. And then a rematch, Glazer and Allred. Should be some really good matches. In that round. Our Illinois guy is Stemmet. Saw him wrestle my guy Gomez from Stevenson when my son was at Stevenson. Stemmet's tough. He's a good wrestler, but it's a tough weight class. Just a tough weight class. The two guys that I don't have in my top 8 that could end up on the podium, Cardenas and Allred. My long shot is Pozdansky, although he's a 14, but 14 placing the top 8, it's tough, but we'll see. So my quarters, I've got Brooks against Stephen Buchanan. I don't think anyone's beating Brooks. I mean, especially these upper weights, there's so much dominance. I've got Elam against Beard from Lehigh, former Penn State wrestler. I got Beard winning that one. Sloan and Duprez, I got Sloan. I've seen him a couple of times. He's tough. I got him winning that one. Glazer and Hidley. Hidley is just wrestling great. He looks great at 197. After wrestling at 84, he's going to be he's tough. Semis, I got Brooks and Beard. It's an all Penn State semi, but again, nobody's beating Brooks. Sloan and Hidley, I got Hidley winning that one. And then Brooks and Hidley could be a really good match. Hidley's a great wrestler. I just don't see it. I don't see anybody being hit Brooks. Just don't see it. So from 8 to 1, I've got Duprez, Buchanan, Elam, Glazer, Sloan, Beard, Hidley, Brooks. And then the big boys, 285. Some really athletic kids going. In the first round, Pitzer, I know he missed a lot of the beginning of the year, and the cradle being my move. Any heavyweight that cradles people, I love watching him against Doucette. That's going to be tough. Pitzer's just doesn't look like he's in the shape he was a year ago. In the second round, it's a rematch of Feldman from Ohio State and Treffin from North Carolina State. I believe Treffin won, but Feldman's wrestling tough. I think Feldman pulls that one out. There's nobody from Illinois. There's no heavyweights. What's wrong with you guys? Come on. I know we've got some pretty decent heavyweights, although if Cassiope didn't get in trouble, he would have been there. I watched. He was one of the best high school heavyweights I've ever seen. I mean, he just would do ankle picks, tilts. He was so good. He was so good. God, and he's got twin brothers who I think one took second this year. Or they're freshmen. One took third. He's got a sister who's really good, Rose. It's quite a wrestling family. There was another Cassiope that went like 145. He was really good. I know he was really beat up. It's just an amazing family. Just amazing. So the two heavyweights, I haven't really seen Taylor from Lehigh wrestle. Obviously he's a 5th seed. He must be great. Treffin, I've got could make the stand. I've got Kirk Vliet and Feldman, which is another rematch. Feldman took Kirk Vliet down at the Big Tens, but Kirk Vliet is just too tough for Feldman. Feldman's a freshman. He is going to be a really good heavyweight. I've got Doucette from Oklahoma State and Schultz. I believe there was a movie about Schultz as a kid, which is a fun movie to watch. You don't see too many wrestling movies. I got Schultz winning that one. You got Hendrickson and Elam. I've got an upset. I've got Elam in his senior year knocking off Hendrickson. And then I've got Davidson, who used to be at Northwestern. He's now at Michigan, against Bastida. And Bastida is a monster. That guy is a beast. He is one strong man. So that's going to be, he's tough. Semifinals, you got Kirk Vliet and Schultz. I got Kirk Vliet winning that one. Elam and Bastida, I don't think Elam is strong enough for Bastida. And early, a couple weeks ago, I would have said Kirk Vliet is going to win it, and I still think he's going to win it. But Bastida can beat him. I mean, that's going to be a tough match. I just think Kirk Vliet is so good on his feet. He's gotten so much better, and obviously not having Gable around helps. But I see Kirk Vliet winning it. But boy, it's gonna be a fun final. It's gonna be one of the most fun heavyweight finals in a while. So from 8 to 1, we got Treffin, Davidson, Feldman, Hendrickson, Elam, Schultz, Bastida, Kirk Vliet. nobody's coming close to Penn State as far as the team scores go. Michigan, sorry. Oh, damn it, I called them Michigan. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Michigan has a good chance of making second. Oklahoma State's got a really good team. I just don't see Iowa. I don't know if Iowa's going to be in top 5. Nebraska's always good at this tournament, but Penn State could break the record for points. So that's it. Enjoy the rye. Enjoy these 3 days. I guess there's a basketball tournament going on at the same time. I heard something about that, but very little about this basketball tournament. March Madness? Oh, no, that's what we call the wrestling. Anyways, I watch the basketball on my little TV. Although, you know what? The little TV, I can go back on Matt, so maybe in the background, for his background noise, I'll have the basketball tournament. I don't know what they call it. The Final 64 or something like that. Anyways, enjoy this weekend. This is Dave. If you like this video, I know it's long. I'm sorry. If you like the video, please subscribe. Comment. God, I can't wait. The only thing that sucks is when it's over. Then I gotta wait again until like November before wrestling starts again. And after 20 years off, I am going back to officiating next year, so that's going to be fun. I won't do any varsity because those coaches are assholes, most of them. So, anyways, this is Dave. I'm out. Toodles. Go Bears. Super Bowl. I think we got it this year. We got Caleb. Enjoy this week, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye now.